Hello, everybody. Josh Peck here. Glad to be talking with you again today. We're going to talk about something a little different today. I know lately I've been doing a lot of Dead Sea Scroll stuff and certain stuff, and I have a lot of other areas of study. It's just that's been what I've been focused on past year or so. But I want to talk about something I haven't talked about in a while, and because this is an ongoing issue and it is on the rise, even more and more and more. But I want to talk about the rise of transhumanism, and then in the second part of the show, I actually have an interview slash debate with one of transhumanism's top thought leaders, Zoltan Istvan, that I want to play for you guys. That's about what, an hour or so. It's something like that. So we're going to save that for the members only part at the end of this video. But before we get into that, I want to preface this for the viewers what we're talking about with transhumanism, and just kind of explain some of my thoughts about it before going into that debate. So years ago, and by the way, I should mention too, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, click the bell to turn on all notifications, double check to make sure you are subscribed, because I get a lot of people saying that YouTube has unsubscribed them for some reason. So make sure you do that. And also just head on over to dailyrenegade.com and get a subscription to get this entire video. This whole video is probably going to be, if I'm guessing, maybe like an hour and a half or something. But you on YouTube, if you're only viewing this on YouTube, you're only going to get the first part of it, and you're going to miss out on that that debate that I did with Zoltan Istvan. So you're going to want to check that out. Okay, so years ago, when I first began researching transhumanism, I barely knew what the word even meant. And I assume that many are probably in the same situation today, having heard the word but not fully understanding its meaning. And I'll mention too, if you're a member at dailyrenegade.com, I'm going to have the show notes for this first part available. So you'll be able to download that, and you'll have references to, everything that I talk about, sources, all of that stuff. So if you want that, you want to be a member at dailyrenegade.com to get that PDF. But at its core, transhumanism is the belief that technology can enhance the human condition by overcoming inherent limitations like mortality and cognitive constraints. And in the show notes, if you have them, if you're watching this on Daily Renegade, I have several sources for this as well that you'll be able to see in the show notes. Like, for example, that one I have linked to an article where the headline is "No Death and an Enhanced Life Is the Future Transhuman?" So I have all of that available for you, but only for Daily Renegade members. Anyway, so this concept actually dates back to ancient civilizations that envisioned godlike abilities and eternal life. It's even popular in modern movies, like Marvel movies is big into this transhumanist idea. But still, its modern form emerged in the 20th and 21st centuries. So the term transhumanism was coined by Julian Huxley in 1957 when he described a future where humans would surpass their current limitations while remaining human. However, during the 1980s and 90s, with the rise of cyberculture and the internet, transhumanism gained momentum. And during this time, mathematician and science fiction writer Werner Vinge introduced the concept of technological singularity, which is a hypothetical point in the future when technological growth becomes unstoppable, leading to unforeseen changes in human civilization. Some people believe that that's only a few years away. In the 1990s, Nick Bostrom and David Pierce founded the World Transhumanist Association, later renamed Humanity Plus, in 2008. Further solidifying transhumanism as a movement. Bostrom has played a crucial role in advancing the academic exploration of transhumanism by establishing the Future of Humanity Institute at Oxford University. So the transhumanist movement comprises a diverse group of influential individuals, and one such figure is Ray Kurzweil. He is a renowned futurist who has gained recognition for his optimistic predictions regarding integrating humans and AI as outlined in his book, The Singularity is Near. Now, on another front, Elon Musk and his Neuralink project are working towards making brain-computer interfaces a reality. In the modern world, transhumanism continues to be a topic of controversy. So supporters view it as the next stage in human evolution. Now, at the same time, critics raise concerns about the ethical implications associated with making profound alterations to human nature. And regardless of the ongoing debate, there's no denying that this movement has gained significant influence across fields such as biotechnology, AI, and even neuroscience. Now, while the world debates, we Christians need to understand this movement, why it is anti-biblical, and be prepared to defend our faith in light of the growing transhumanist agenda. And it is growing. I think a lot of times these movements, when people first, especially Christians, when we first hear about them, they're relatively small, and then we kind of scoff at them, and we're like, oh, yeah, it's just a handful of crazy people. But when we do that, we allow it to grow and fester under our awareness of it, and then it grows so exponentially big that by the time we start paying attention to it and really taking it seriously, it's grown too big. A good example of this is how New Age doctrines have crept into the church, and most Christians, unfortunately, have a few New Age beliefs that they don't even know are New Age. Well, the same thing is happening with transhumanism, and because we're not addressing it as much as we should be, it's been allowed to grow, and now, I mean, it really is everywhere. I mean, we're only a few years away from people being able to turn on and off certain genes in their babies, designer babies. You can make your baby have a certain eye color, or, whatever. We're already genetically altering things. And the issue is, for us Christians, well, God didn't create us this way. If we alter our genes too much, do we become something other than human? And then if we can we even get saved at that point? We know that there's a prophecy about the mark of the beast where if you take the mark of the beast, you are ineligible for salvation anymore after that. And so the idea, one of the theories, is that maybe the mark of the beast does something to our genetics where we're not human anymore, where we're something like the Nephilim or something like that, where we're ineligible for salvation because Jesus was a human and he died for humans. Of course, he's God in the flesh. He's fully God, fully man. But he died in human flesh for our sins, for humanity's sins. If you make yourself into something other than human, then the idea is that salvation would not apply to you. And there is no salvation, there is no redemption. So then when you finally do leave this earth, you're eternally damned. You're in hell for all of eternity, separated from God without hope. So that's the danger. That's the question that we as Christians have about it. Now, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. There's a difference, because some people say, yeah, but if you break a leg, you use a crutch. What's the difference? And I'll get more into it later, but that's restoration. That's not glorification. So I wear glasses because my eyes, like when I take my glasses off, I can't even see. I'm basically legally blind without my glasses. Like I can't make anything out. I can't make out any words on my screen. It's really bad. When I put glasses on, though, it restores what's supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be able to see. But something happened to my eyes, whatever the situation is, something happened to where I can't. So this helps restore what should already be there. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with restoration, but glorification is something different. That's where if I genetically altered my eyes so I could see better in the night and have night vision, or something like that, and that's something that they're seriously they're talking about doing. That's something we're not born with that ability. So that's something different when we do a glorification thing. I'll get more into that a little bit later. But the concept of transhumanism, which offers advanced technological solutions to overcome human limitations, has really, in the world, it's generated both enthusiasm and criticism. So at its core, transhumanism explores the potential for human evolution through advancements in technology and biology. There's an article that's called Moral Transhumanism for the Journal of Medicine and Philosophy, and authors Ingmar Persson and Julian Savulescu uh, argue that moral values define humanity more than biological makeup. But this interpretation really presents some challenges. So, while as Christians we believe in an ultimate true morality, morality is not universally fixed in the world, but somewhat varies across different cultures and religions. So, based on transhumanist interpretations, can certain groups be considered more human than others based on moral beliefs? Because again, to a lot of these people that would buy into transhumanism, morality is kind of subjective to many of them because many of them don't believe in God. They don't believe in an ultimate moral lawgiver or anything like that. So it's kind of subjective. Well, if morality is what makes somebody human, and if morality is different based on culture and region, you would have to then conclude that some cultures are like less human than others, which of course we as Christians would never say. We would never believe that. And you can tell most of these transhumanists really don't believe this either, but that's the natural conclusion to this idea. Furthermore, defining humanity solely based on morality may inadvertently prioritize specific individuals or groups while leaving other uncertain regarding their human status. So, a more direct definition provided by the English Oxford Living Dictionaries describes a human being as an individual belonging to the Homo sapiens species with distinct cognitive abilities, speech, and posture. Transhumanism's objective to enhance human capabilities can push us beyond the boundaries of our biological classification into a new species, which they often refer to as Homo superior or Homo futurists. The primary approach to achieving this transformation involves genetic editing. Now, while the idea of having increased strength or a longer life, that's usually what they're going after, is a longer life or immortality. Now, while that might seem appealing, the long-term consequences, such as passing modified genes to future generations, that raises a lot of concerns. If these enhancements become widespread, future generations might not have the choice to remain biologically unchanged. And as a result, creating Homo superior would decrease the Homo sapien population and potentially lead our species towards extinction or speciescide. Now, navigating the transhumanist agenda demands discerning the lines between immortality and illegality. So, while morality is, we as Christians wouldn't call it subjective, we would call it objective because God gives us that. But, to the outside world, while morality is subjective and varies among individuals and cultures, legality is universally binding. So despite the distinctions, societies often legislate morality. Laws prohibiting racial discrimination and unjust harm to others mirror society's moral values. And different cultures and religions may have varying moral guidelines, with some of it overlapping. So, for example, Western values, for instance, differ from Eastern or Middle Eastern ethics. A balance between law and morality is essential for a harmonious society. And central to American values is the morality of freedom, which essentially advocates for personal autonomy. So it encapsulates that individuals have the right to their bodies, termed morphological freedom. That's what they call that. So transhumanism builds its foundation on this principle. So advocates argue for autonomy over their bodies. Well, it's my body. I should be able to do whatever I want with it. That's the argument. But the impact of transhumanism is not just individual. Genetically altered genes could influence the broader human gene pool within a generation, affecting even those opposed to these alterations. The potential spillover becomes contentious, especially for religious communities. Most Christians, for instance, believe the human body is sacred, and altering it in this way might compromise the divine image inherent in humans. So it's kind of like this. Like, let's say, my daughter, when she grows up, she's a Christian. She wants to be a mother. Let's say that she wants to, have kids and everything. Well, what if she ends up marrying a man that's been genetically altered and she doesn't know? Because that's a part of it too. I mean, there's places in the country, there's states where if you have AIDS, you don't even have to tell somebody that you're going to be intimate with, I guess, which is obviously horrible and wrong, and every one of us knows that that is wrong. But the same idea of privacy could apply to the transhumanists. Like if you're genetically altered, you don't have to tell somebody that you're going to be intimate with. Well, if that's the case, that kind of takes away, in this hypothetical situation, that takes away my daughter's freedom of wanting to have perfectly just human children the way that God designed it. So there is a consequence to society as a whole with this transhuman thing. It's not just affecting the one person. It affects anybody else that they might procreate with, whether they disclose that information or not. And then there's the dilemma of rights. If future transhumanists aren't technically human, do traditional human rights apply? Should there be a distinct set of rights for transhumanists? Well, a prominent transhumanist that I mentioned earlier before, and I'm going to show you a debate I did with him, Zoltan Istvan, he presented a transhuman Bill of Rights to Congress, emphasizing the evolving nature of rights in a world where the line between humans and machines blur. He proposes the universal right to indefinite life and views aging as a treatable condition. Now, there's obviously problems with that. Immortality can never be real, not real in the physical sense. It can be in a spiritual sense, like if you're born again, you don't die in that sense. But in the physical sense, even if aging is cured, like it's a disease or something, even if that were cured and you're technically immortal, even to the point where if you get shot, your body can just heal from it. Well, even in their own models of how the universe and physics works, everything eventually breaks down. Entropy still takes place. The universe still is expanding, and it's going to, in their worldview, it's going to eventually expand to the point where it's like a cold death. Stars are too far away from planets to give life. Or there might be a heat death. There's a couple different ways, but eventually the universe does eventually break down. So you won't even be, it gets so bad eventually that particles won't even bind together anymore, which means that eventually all of the particles in your body will separate. They won't be able to bind together, and well, you're dead. There's no technology that can solve that, because anything that you build is made of particles, and if those particles can't bind together anymore because things are just too far away, if they can't bind together anymore just because there's too much empty space or whatever, well, then there's nothing that can be done about that. They're just, so either way, even if it's a billion years, you're just kicking the can down the road. There still will come a time where you physically cease to exist, and then what? You can't just upload your consciousness to a computer. That's another idea that they have. Well, we'll just upload our consciousness to a computer. How long is that computer going to be around? How long can that computer survive? It can't survive the end of the universe. It definitely can't. Nothing, particles themselves, like nothing can. So how would we navigate that? So really, at best, it's just a stall. And ultimately, even the transhumanists, even in their best, even if they get everything they want, still have to contend with the fact that death still exists. Death is still coming for us all, and we have to contend with that. We have to recognize that that's an inevitability eventually, and at that point, you either believe that there's nothing or you believe there's something after that. We as Christians believe there's something, and if you don't accept, see, to us, we know how to get eternal life. We know how to really get it to where it really is everlasting, and it can't be undone, and that's through Jesus Christ. And this is why I decided to do this debate with Zoltan. I like Zoltan Isman. I mean, I don't agree with his positions. I don't think some of his arguments I don't think are really all that compelling. But as a person, I like him, and I pray for him. I hope you guys do too. Um, and I think if he could grasp this, uh, I mean, he's even got like microchips in his hands and stuff. I mean, he is all in on the transhumanist thing. But if he could ever get to a point where he could repent of that, he could be just a huge warrior for Christ, like an amazing, unstoppable warrior for Christ. Um, so please pray for him. I definitely don't want to make fun of him or insult him. I've had conversations with him before, and even when we disagree, generally he's nice and respectful to me. He's not always respectful to Christianity as a whole in some of the stuff that he writes. He wrote a book called The Transhumanist Wager, and the way that he portrays Christianity in that is so laughably inaccurate. Like it's like the guy has never met a Christian before. But I mean, it's like it's pretty one dimensional and just kind of like evil cartoon supervillain. Like that's kind of how the Christians are presented in his book, and it's a little silly. It's not realistic, but you know, if somebody doesn't really know Christians and they're just believing what they're told about Christians, I could see why somebody might have that view. But you know, it is kind of like, well, get out and meet some Christians. And that's why I wanted to do the debate with him, and I wanted to, and I did challenge him. I didn't take it easy on him. I definitely pushed him on some things, but at the same time, I wanted to show him too, like, hey, we Christians, we're normal people like you. It's just, you know, we're not this evil supervillain that you've created in your book. We argue against these things because we genuinely care about you. Like, I genuinely care for Zoltan's eternal soul. I don't want to see him die and go to hell. That's the last thing I want. I don't want to see him separated from God for all of eternity. That thought scares me. Like, I absolutely don't want that for him. But I know that's where he's headed if he keeps up with this transhumanist stuff and doesn't accept Christ. If he keeps rejecting Christ in favor for science and medicine and technology and all this stuff, well, he's putting his faith in something that just is bound to fail. There's no way it really can succeed ultimately. So pray that his eyes are opened. Pray that he can get some more good Christians in his life that can help explain this stuff. And I don't believe he's beyond redemption or anything. He's definitely out there with the transhumanist stuff, but yeah, just please keep him in prayer. So when I bring him up, I'm not trying to make fun of him or anything like that. And to his credit, he is actually trying to navigate these tricky areas. Like, because if you're a transhumanist, well, you're not really a human anymore. I'm not saying that Zoltan is right now. We don't necessarily have that technology available just yet. So he's still a human. There's still, he can always get the chip he put in his hand. He can always get that removed. And by the way, him putting a chip in his hand, that's not the mark of the beast. Mark of the beast happens during the tribulation. That might end up being a chip in the hand later on. I don't know. It's not something I would do. It's too much like the mark of the beast. I wouldn't take it. But I don't think that him having a chip in his hand to help him open doors or as a password for his computer or whatever, I don't think that has already negated his salvation. He could get that removed. He could get saved. He could get saved, even with it. So it's not something I would do personally. But we're not in Mark of the Beast territory yet. That's during the tribulation. So don't let that throw you. Pray for the guy. And I talk about that more in the interview too, in the introduction to the debate/interview. So I said I was going to talk a little bit about restoration versus glorification. Let's talk about that. So when it comes to questioning transhumanist ideas, especially for those who are Christian, one might wonder, where do we draw the line? At what point does human biological enhancement cross the boundary from acceptable to unacceptable? Well, today there are various technologies and medical advancements that can cure diseases and address ailments using technology. So, should someone with a prosthetic hip be considered transhumanist? I have a prosthetic hip. Or what about people who undergo laser eye surgery to improve their vision? That's something I'm considering. I haven't done it yet. I'm considering it. Now, what about if genetic editing could lead to a cure for cancer in the future? Would that be deemed acceptable? And furthermore, if genetic editing could make a person utterly resistant to all diseases, where should we draw the line? Well, individuals have offered varying answers to this question throughout the years without reaching a consensus. So I can only really offer my own viewpoint to provide a solution. To me, it really boils down to distinguishing between restoration and glorification. Me personally, and everybody's got to come to their own things. I personally would not do anything with gene editing. I'd have to know a lot more about it before I would even get to the point of considering it. But to me, it's that at what point do you stop being human? If I alter my DNA or my genes in such a way, does that make me not a human anymore? I don't know. So it's like it's to me, it's kind of not even worth the risk. But again, it boils down to restoration, glorification. Does the medical treatment aim to restore what was once there, or does it aim to elevate it into something that is superior? So, for example, is a hip replacement primarily meant to restore a person's ability to use their hip? Or is it intended as an enhancement that makes the bones unbreakable or immune to wear and tear? Well, my hip replacement was just so I could walk again. Actually, most hip replacements, you got to get a couple of them in your life, like 3 or 4 throughout your life, depending how early you have them. But they don't last forever. They don't last as long as a real, like a real functioning bone hip would last. So it doesn't enhance anything. It's not elective. I needed it because I didn't have a functioning hip. I didn't get it because, oh, my hip works fine, but this is way stronger and way better, so I'm going to replace it. It wasn't that. It was to restore. It wasn't to glorify. Same with laser eye surgery. Is laser eye surgery simply restoring normal human vision, or does it grant individuals extraordinary abilities like night vision or infrared vision? Does it bring people back to their natural human capabilities, or does it elevate them to superhuman levels? Well, if I were to get laser eye surgery, all it would do is correct my vision to where it's already supposed to be. It can't give me better vision than what humans can. It can't give me night vision. It can't let me see through walls. It can't do any of that. So the line is apparent when someone transcends their humanity and becomes something else entirely, like Homo superior. So as a Christian, I struggle with the idea of any changes that would turn me into something other than human. I see it as relinquishing the promised glorification from God in the afterlife for an inferior form of glorification through technology in this lifetime. We must face God one day, despite potential technological advancements offering immortality. Death is still inevitable. And again, I'll mention it again. Let's take the typical scientific, naturally selective and humanistic approach to the cosmos that most transhumanists adopt. According to the atheistic and scientific world, eventually our sun will burn out and our planet will become inhabitable. Even if we were to find another habitable planet, the universe itself would still come to an end someday. And due to the exponential expansion of the universe, there will come a time when everything is too distant from everything else to have any meaningful impact. Stars won't have the ability to warm planets anymore. The concept of gravitational orbit will become obsolete. At some point, even the universe will cease to exist. Time itself will end. No matter what happens, entropy is an inevitable reality that we cannot escape forever. Even if there was a multiverse, because, somebody might say, well, we'll just go into another universe where that the universe hasn't broken down yet. Even if that's the case, and I don't believe in the multiverse like that at all, but even if that was the case, eventually the multiverse itself would be subject to entropy. It would eventually break down. Eventually, you will cease to exist. Everything breaks down. Physically, you'll cease to exist. In their worldview, transhumanism can only delay the inevitable at best. So regardless of our technological advances, nothing in this life can truly last forever. Every one of us will eventually experience the next phase of existence. So it's wise to acknowledge this fact and plan accordingly. We're going to spend a lot more time on the other side of death than we ever could on this side. And while I may be fortunate enough to live, let's say 80 or 90 years, if I'm fortunate enough to live that long, after death, I'll reside on the other side for an eternity and beyond. My only focus isn't solely on aligning myself with imperfect human-made technology. Rather, it lies in being aligned with the creator of humanity, the universe, and time itself, because only he has the power to save me truly. Entropy is bound to this physical reality, but beyond that, entropy has no place in heaven. Entropy doesn't exist because it is truly eternal. God is truly eternal. So the good news is that he has provided a path for salvation and guaranteed glorification. You do not need to rely on government funding or private corporations. You don't need to put your faith in those things. You don't need to wait for advanced technology. Right now, anyone on earth can access this glorification. And even better, the God who offers salvation eagerly wants to give you this gift through his son, Jesus Christ, today. He's just waiting for your acceptance. He desires it so deeply that he gave up his life for it. He gave up his only son. And I know that might be a little weird, the Trinity thing. He's God, he's not God. How does it all work? But he wants to give you this gift through his son today. And the best part, it doesn't cost you anything because the payment is already paid. Jesus already paid the price on the cross. So to prepare for the future, invite Jesus Christ into your life today and start believing in him and following him. And by doing this, Jesus promises something that transhumanism can never provide: genuine and eternal salvation. So with that, that's kind of the backdrop of what we're talking about with transhumanism. And I do want to play this. Interview with Zoltan Isvan, but I'm going to do that in the members only section. So if you haven't had a chance yet, head on over to dailyrenegade.com right now and get a membership. It is only $10 a month or $100 a year. And you're going to want to see this because I don't do many debates. I rarely do them. And a lot of it's because it takes a lot of time for one thing, it's hard to find somebody that will debate who's of good faith. A lot of times when I get challenged to debates, it's because the other person wants my platform, and that's all it is. And a lot of times they're kind of jerks about it. That's why I don't do many debates. I wanted to with Zoltan because he's not trying to get my platform. He doesn't need my platform, and I don't need his either. We're of two completely different worlds, so I'm not worried about that. But also, I just really feel like he is trying, he's searching, and I feel like that. When I talk to him about Christianity, he's not a jerk about it. Now, like I said, again, I do push back on things. I don't take it easy on him. I do absolutely challenge him on some of the things that he's said in the past. But it's a good debate, and also the prep time for debates. Because you never know what the other person is going to say, so you have to kind of try to research and prepare for all possibilities, which is extremely difficult to do. So it's just I don't do many debates. This is one of the only ones I've ever done. So you're going to want to see that me and Zoltan Isvan in this debate. Now we did not have a moderator. We just both agreed that we were going to do this in good faith and that we weren't going to try to get one over on the other or anything like that. So I did it on my show, and it was really good. I think it was really fruitful, and I think there's a lot to learn there. So you're going to want to see this interview / debate. I'm going to make it available for members only, though. So head on over to dailyrenegade.com, get a membership today. It's only $10 a month or $100 a year. If you can do it, I suggest getting the $100 a year because it is cheaper in the long run. It's cheaper in the long run. You only have to pay for it once. You don't have to worry about it again until it's going to be almost 2026 at this point, which is crazy to think about. So you get a full year, and then not only do you get, again, you get you get the watch page, which basically works like YouTube without the censorship, but you also get a community page, which basically works like Facebook without the censorship. And there's no trolls or anything, because trolls are pathetic. They're not going to spend their own money to troll somebody. They'll do that for free on YouTube. So it's troll free, and we all have a lot of fun, and we talk about different possibilities of things. And wherever you're at, you're more than welcome to join us. You don't have to align with all of our beliefs or all of my beliefs to be a part of Daily Renegade. We welcome everybody, just as long as you're kind and respectful, and as long as you're not trying to start fights with people, we're not going to have any problems. To date, I've never had to kick anybody out. I will do that if somebody did come in and are just clearly trying to start fights. I would refund their money, and I would kick them out. But so far it hasn't happened. So dailyrenegade.com, we got the watch page, and we got the community page. Also, for members, you'll get the show notes to this, which has quite a bit of references. I have 20 different, 20, exactly 20. 20 different footnotes, links to articles and other things online that you'll want to check out if you're interested in this topic. I do have, before we do that, I do got a couple other announcements that I want to make mention of real quick. So watch this. And I want to say too, for those who might be brand new to this channel, please do me a favor and subscribe. Click the bell to turn on all notifications. And if you haven't had a chance to do so already, head on over to dailyrenegade.com and get a membership today. It's only $10 a month or $100 a year. Now, why do you want a membership? It's because videos like this sometimes get censored. I don't know if this one will or not. Sometimes when we talk about things like this, YouTube gets rid of it or says that we can't play it. Well, we put all of those videos, we put every video that I do goes on dailyrenegade.com. And many times on YouTube, I can only put up half the video. So not only that, but you also get early access. So members of Daily Renegade get videos before anybody on YouTube, even when I do put the full video up. Excuse me. So there's also a community tab where we all talk and fellowship together, and it's a great place. So dailyrenegade.com, it's basically like a censorship-free version of YouTube and Facebook put together. Just no censorship, none of the garbage, none of the trolls. There's no trolls there because trolls are pathetic. They're not going to spend their own money to troll people. They'll do that on YouTube for free. Also, I want to make mention that I mentioned this in a previous video, but so for those not familiar, our car was totaled. My wife and our 5 kids were in the car at the time. I was at home. Thankfully, they're all okay. My wife has got some back issues from it that she needs adjustments for, and something, maybe surgery, hopefully not, but overall, everybody's okay. But she was hit by a semi-truck, and the truck company is, of course, not admitting fault, even though my wife was, Christina, she was at a stoplight, and the truck ran the light, hit her, and there's witnesses all around. We have like 3 or 4 witnesses that the police took statements, so it's clear that the semi-truck driver was in the fault, but of course, this is how these things go. They're not admitting fault, and they're dragging their feet. So in the meantime, while it's possible, we've had to get a lawyer, which of course all this stuff is just crazy. And while we might get reimbursed for all this at some point in the future, we don't know when that's going to be. When Christina was in 8th grade, she was in a terrible car accident that almost took her life. And they had to fight in the courts for like 3 years over that. And that was a drunk driver. That was like an obvious, she wasn't at fault. But anyway, all that to say, a lot of people have been asking like where to donate. I do have all of that information in the description below, but I'll put it on the screen as well. PayPal is the best place, but we also have CashApp. We have a PO box, things like that. And I do want to say that I'm extremely grateful to everybody who has donated. Really means a lot. And it's funny because this is the 3rd or 4th time that it's when you're where God wants you, you're going to get attacks from the enemy constantly, and that does happen. But since we and I recently moved to Oklahoma City to work at Prophecy Watchers, and I have zero doubt this is exactly where God wants us. And then since we've moved, though, all of these outside strange things have been happening. This is
but God is providing as well. So this is probably like the second or third time that we've had to drain our savings over something like this. Like the first one was to sell our house, which was in Illinois, and we lost tens of thousands of dollars on that sale, but we were able to sell it, and God's providing. So we were building back up our savings, and then all of a sudden this car thing happened, and our car is totaled, so we had to get a new car. And we have a family of 7, so we needed at least a 7 or 8 seater, at least, which do not come cheap, unfortunately. So if you care to donate, if you want to help out, you can. And even if not financially, keep us in prayer, because God has been providing. He's been doing great. Obviously, Prophecy Watchers has been helping a lot, and everybody's been helping, and so. Also, if you want, for Nathan, my son Nathan, he's in remission of cancer, and he's got a lot of after care, like a lot of, like, the chemo totally damaged his body, and it's going to take years to repair that. But we're going the all natural route, which isn't covered by insurance, of course. So we're taking donations for that as well. So all the donation information is on the screen and is in the description below. Also, I want to make mention too, for those of you who follow this channel and you know about the Dead Sea Scroll, the Essene calendar, we do have the 2025 version available now. It is so basically what it is, it's the Essene Dead Sea Scroll prophetic calendar that you can hang on your wall, and then so that's the bottom page, and then the top page is the Gregorian calendar. So you can actually see which date we're on the Essene calendar in correspondence to our own calendar. Really easy to follow, but those are for sale now, and it's for the year 2025 on our calendar anyway. And that would be what, like $59.49 or something like that on the Essene calendar. But anyway, if you'd like that, there's links in the description below for that, or you can get them at dailyrenegade.com or biblefacts.org, Dr. Ken Johnson's website, and all proceeds from the calendar sales goes to support both our ministries. So you're supporting 2 great ministries. Yeah, and all that being said, I mean, you should check out the other links in there. I have live streaming for this conference that we're at now, the Branson Prophecy Conference, and you definitely want to check that out. But we have live streaming available. There's a coupon code in the description below. It's just Peck Branson, all one word, all caps, PECKBRANSON. Use that promo code at checkout, and then you'll once you check out, you'll have access to all the speakers. A lot of the people that watch here live, we have 2 rooms, and there will be 2 presentations going on at the same time, so they have to pick and choose. Well, if you sign up for the live streaming, then you get everything, and you get, Jonathan Kahn has been here, he's been talking, Eli Marzulli, myself, I've done 2 presentations, Dr. Ken Johnson, Larry Olison, who else? I mean, it's a pretty much anybody that you could think of in terms of the kind of prophecy stuff that we do. Bill Salas is here. He's been great. So there's a lot of stuff there. But if you want more information about the conference, you can check out prophecywatchers.com. Okay, I think that is everything. I think that's the update and all the announcements. Just go ahead and check all those links in the description below. There's more stuff there, like about silver sales. I mean, it's a great time to get involved in protecting your assets against this economy. And also, from what Terry Saka, AAMS, from Cornerstone Asset Metals, is the only metal company that I trust because they're Christian and they run it like a ministry and they're honest. But from what he was telling me, it's a great time to get involved with silver because once Trump takes office, a lot of things are gonna go up. So that's good news, and we need it. The economy needs it. So if you want to check that out, I highly recommend doing it. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Link is in the description below.
Okay, thank you for watching that. I do believe that's all of the announcements and everything that I wanted to include in this first part of today's episode of the Sharpening Report. So, without further ado, I'm going to play that debate. I did this. I was hosting a different show when I did this, so you're going to see a different setup than what's back here. Um, but I think it's definitely worth watching. So yeah, if you're a member of Daily Renegade and you're watching on the website, you don't have to do anything. Just hang on the line, and it'll just roll right into the next thing. If you're not a member, if you're viewing this on YouTube or Rumble, I really appreciate you watching. Again, please consider becoming a member and joining us over at Daily Renegade. And hopefully we'll see you there. But if not, until next time, love you all. Take care, and God bless. Okay.